Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unregulated Leadership. I am one of your hosts, Lavonya Douglas, and we also have Miriam Opek, and we are pleased to have Lou back for part two. We just loved her conversation that we had last time. We had so many more questions for her, so many more things that we wanted to talk about. So we are so excited that you took the time to come back and talk to us again. And so welcome.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. The first time was so much fun. I was hoping you'd call me again. So thank you.
Awesome. One of the things that you talked a lot about in the first episode was about parents and connecting to your passions, and parents being really involved in their children's development and the things that they're doing and the struggles that they're having. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you connect that with the things that you're doing right now? Because I think parents, we don't know what we don't know. And if we don't know that it's okay to do something, or we've learned it from our parents to do it one way, and it makes sometimes the parents uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable for them, so then the kids miss out. Like, how do you help the connection with the people that you work with and their parents?
Let me start with those who might be talking to parents. First of all, tread gingerly. Very often when I'm working with a parent and a child, I'll make notes and excuse the child and want to speak to the parent later. I never fight with a parent in front. I may disagree, and I may say, Mom, with the utmost due respect, I'm going to disagree slightly. I use words like that I never come across harsh. I may very often say, I'm going to apologize for what I'm about to say, but I want to be clear. I use phrases like that. Don't come across harsh, because one, a child does not want to see you reprimand their parent. So again, everything doesn't have to be said in front of the child. You can excuse them later. Now, I say a parent should always be in with a child on the initial visit, at least, so they get a sense of how you're going to talk to the child, what's going to be said. I also like, if I do ask a parent, Mom, Lisa says she's more comfortable with me if we could have a little time alone. So can we have the next 40 minutes and you come back the last 15, so we just go over everything we did? Don't be afraid of doing things like that. I will talk to a child and say, will you feel comfortable? Would you prefer to talk to me alone? Or if I sense that they're even afraid of saying that, I might say, is it okay if we talk a little bit, just me and you? Is that okay? I'll bring Mom back later. And that opens that door where they don't say they want. But again, it's very, very important, because you get a sense of the dynamic of the relationship. You might say, well, the parent might even say, was she getting bullied? And then you kind of realize the parent is a bully. And you're wondering, well, yeah, you won't even let her finish a sentence, and everything she says is wrong, and things like that. Now, I'm going to say something. The first time I started doing this, I made a huge mistake. I alienated a girl by being very strong with the parent. And what came to me later was, now that girl can't have access to me when she really needs me. No matter how bad the parent might be, I've learned to bite my tongue. I've learned to lower my voice. Sometimes I have to talk a lot slower. There's a lot of, I apologize. I hope this isn't rude. I hope it's okay if I say this. Does that make sense? There's a lot of those things when I'm treading lightly. But you making an enemy of the parent only means they're going to cut off, like any slightly abusive relationship. Even if we had a friend who was in an abusive relationship, that person would hope they would be alone. And that's what we don't want. So tread lightly, see the dynamic, speak in the positive, and Like I do even with male relationships, sometimes we have to start out with something kind, say what we really want to say, and end with something kind. I find that often works as a formula.
We're going to have to use that.
I think a lot of your leadership qualities, even when speaking to people, does involve a lot of humility and grace, because you do embody, you're not forgetting about the person's humanity, right? Like you're not there just doing a service, but people are there wanting something that I don't even think they even know that they want. And you always do provide. And I've seen how you've worked with customers, with your clients, and how oftentimes they walk out feeling better about themselves, even if they don't like you. And like, even if they you can agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, you're walking out with pieces of Lou's wisdom that kind of puts you on better standing or better footing, or you have a better, like, I know how to redirect and know exactly what I want. So, and then I think that's very powerful for a woman in a position. When you see, if you and you don't have children, in having children, speaking to parents, because I think parents love love throwing when you don't have children, right? How do you help parents? Going back to what Lavonya was speaking, how do you help parents see what their child wants and not what they want? Like sometimes, and you've helped me, I don't want to speak, but you've helped me in some matters when, Miles he modeled, and, you had to be very stern with, he has the height, he may even have the smile, but he doesn't have the walk, right? My son is flat-footed, and he, sometimes parents want something more than their child is capable of doing. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the best way? Like, how do you, as a leader, help with the stubborn?
That is such a good question, Miriam. I had to have a long talk with God once, and the final words that were said to me by the Holy Spirit is, treat everybody the same and I'll do the rest. Because I don't mind telling you, there were people I didn't like. I'm all right with that. By the way, I looked it up in the Bible. The word like ain't in there. It said, I got to love you. And I have figured out I can love you more sometimes if you leave right now. I can love up on you even more. So God got on me and said, I need you to treat everybody the same. And for me, very often coaches or advisors in any position will give you just enough to make sure you keep coming back. I was told I was never to do that. I'm supposed to give it all, and God will do the rest. And very often you are so right. Parents want it for their child, and the parent may not be living through the child. The parent may have possessed that energy or that quality, and their child just doesn't. So I try to always give examples, because that's something they can't deny. They may want to, but later at night, they'll say, yeah, she's right. My daughter can't do a face like that. I've tried, and my daughter she got to have contour and the right light and the right angle. She got one look. That's not what's going to make a model or an actress. So I try to be truthful. I'm always honest and upfront, but I also try to do it gingerly with giving examples. Examples are so important. And then I like to, before they leave me, I like to sum things up. I don't rush them out. I will do, so Mom, are we clear? Now, she doesn't have the height to be a high fashion model, but it is called commercial print. Now, if you keep sending her pictures in to high fashion agents and she's not the height, they're not going to bite back. But sweetheart, you are pretty enough to do commercial print. So I try to give examples and things of that nature. But you're right, it's not always easy.
Mm-hmm. I want to, when you talk about children, and we talked about social media a little bit the last time, And I'm not really big on social media too much. I started trying to get into it, and people faking people's page, people in other countries, trying to hack you and do different things. So social media can be used for positive, but it's also used for negative. How do you manage that, even as a leader, right? We want to be able to show up and show other people and be that example, be the mentors, role models for people, because we feel like we have so much to give, and social media is an outlet to be able to do that. How do you, as a leader, find yourself engaging with, even in not so great situations? How do you engage with the social media? How do you use that for your advantage? And can you share a little bit about that with us?
Absolutely. And I know about this firsthand, having an entire country that called for my death on social media, and not for anything I said, but because I didn't say a Miss Universe title, they called for my death. Let me first say, we don't have to live on it. And I could be incorrect, but they have proven it can be an addiction. So I am telling parents they must police social media in their homes. And it's going to be almost like too much candy or staying up too late, but you should limit the amount of time. For those who are over a certain age, my social media is just for my business. I am not trying to put my life out there, my significant other, when I'm having a dinner party, me on the beach. I'm not opening up my life for criticism, however constructive it may be. That's off limits. 3, I post for business, but no one says you have to read the comments. I am so good on not reading. And on that note, Steve Harvey really got on me when I started eliminating people calling me such names as whore or monkey or anything like that. He said, no, don't eliminate them. Let your fans fight it out. Unfortunately, in a lot of the jobs nowadays, the first thing they ask you is how many followers do you have? It's becoming, if you're going to be on television, if you want to host even neighborhood fashion shows, they take this kind of thing. If you want to do any kind of reality show, they want to see how many followers. So I regret not taking it on a different level when I could have. It's just the last, I'd say, 8 to 10 years that I've gotten very, very serious about it. But on that note, there are 4 social media builders that have nothing to do with taking a picture of you. And I insist all my ladies do it. First, the beginning of the month, they Google holidays this month. There is a National Strawberry Ice Cream, but there's also a Women's Day. My young ladies they're going to start way in advance posting women they feel are important. And we're trying to do a diverse group. I told them I want a woman from Europe. I want an Asian woman. I want an African American, and I want a celebrity. Someone like a Jerry Cooney's wife, who's an attorney who gives so much. There are those out there. So we're Googling holidays this month. Next, you should be Googling quotes by famous and fill that last part in. If you put in the word athletes, you should see how many comes up. One day a week on your social media. Do you have an inspiration day? A day that people know, oh, it's Sunday, girl, I got to go to her social media. Because last week she wrote, we have 2 important times in our life. The day we're born and the day we know why, by Mark Twain. Do people know they can find something on one day that they could keep going back to if they have to hold on to?
That's good.
Third, I want you to Google something going on in this world. It can be your state, your community, in the USA or in the world as a whole. And I want you to pose it as a question. I say, for instance, there's a clean air summit in Paris, and the United States does not have a representative. To post and say, hey, we're having a clean air summit and the USA doesn't have a representative. How does everybody feel about that? Some of the things right now in New York, for example, we have cafes where people can go and safely shoot up heroin How do you feel about that? Make your social media can be slightly interactive in a positive way that you're doing. And then fourth, I like to call it everyday life. I take a picture of a rainbow and say, isn't it incredible something this beautiful only comes out after a storm? Or see a white kid and a black kid playing in a playground and you take a picture and you say, we're not born with racist thoughts. They're taught. Let's stop teaching racism. Maybe you see a couple, an elderly couple feeding birds, and you say, all anyone wants is someone to love. Call someone today and say you love them. I call those everyday moments, a sunset, a sunrise, a butterfly landing on a flower. Everything doesn't have to be a picture of you and your life. So first, remember, time yourself. Do not make it your life. 2, you do not have to read the comments. If you want to, I am real good. You can say all the crazy you want to say about me. I post. And thirdly, decide if you want it to be professional or business, and don't be afraid to have both. But on this note, really quick, we have to change laws on social media. Given the chance to speak to people who could make a difference, I think there should be a 3-step policy with social media. If a child is under the age of 18 and proven to be bullying on social media, they should have to go to the police station with the parent right away. There's no calling into the dean's office. And every police station, by the way, should have a office for not social media, but computer crimes. And let's get some really smart people in there, some hackers and people who are really smart. Second, if that child continues to bully, the parent should have to pay a fine, because the parents are in charge of their household. And if little Johnny wants to keep doing it, let's have you pay a fine. Third, and I think most important, Miriam, you're going to love this one. If the child continues to bully, I think the parent and the child should be called to community service. I think Johnny and his mama had to pick up trash in their neighborhood in loud orange vests. She'd stop little Johnny from bullying. I think if she had to wave to her neighbors and say, no, girl, we just helping the area, I think she'd stop little Johnny. So I think we need harsher punishment. The punishment hasn't caught up with the crime. Our moms and dads didn't have to deal with social media.
Yeah. Such a great point. I need to be taking notes. I'm going to have to go back and watch this myself. Okay, she said, don't just put pictures of yourself. Okay, put the sunset. I love it.
Life moments, Google holidays. There are so many holidays. So many holidays.
Even when you talked about the Women's Day, right? Like, every day is a holiday, by the way. Like something
is happening in this country.
Yes.
But what it does, it provokes people to start thinking differently and very outwardly, rather than it's become a very me society. Like
me.
Right. It's a much of a selfie, and it's a lot of habits that are now getting out of. I don't think because I work with youth, they don't even understand how it's almost like trying to grapple oil in your hands. You're not going to be able to do it. Once it's out there, but then you can't retract. You can't sorry your way out of it. And I meet with a lot of parents who go, I had no idea. And the school system, especially in New York City, they do have, they're catching up. They're catching up with the crime, because you can't even share. It may not have been your phone that taken the picture, but if you received it and did not delete it and you shared it, you are now accomplice to the bullying or to the crime, especially if it turns out to be something lascivious like your child pornography, or something where a child, somebody underage is in the video or a photo.
And cancel culture. Miriam, please don't forget cancel.
Yes.
That's harsh.
I want to talk about how your focus in how, I've always loved your discipline. I look at you, I know when to call you and when not to call you, because I know when you're going to pick up the phone and when you're at the gym. your discipline defines a lot of what you do. At what point was it your discipline because your parents had been disciplined, or did you become disciplined because you just naturally knew what you wanted? Like
all of the above, Miriam, but I'm telling you, my parents had a big part of that. There was a homework check, and homework was checked at a certain time. When my mother came home, dinner was half done. The rooms were clean. Chores were done on this day. And that lent to, as a professional model, I can do Fashion Week in Paris or have this double meat cheeseburger. It's real simple. It's real simple. When people say something, sleeping late is keeping them from their dreams, or overeating, and I just think, really? And I have those around me who say I have an uncanny sense of discipline, but I wasn't able to move to Paris when my agency in New York didn't believe in me. If I hadn't saved up enough money to pay the rent for almost a year, put a ridiculous amount of money on electricity and phone, and move to Paris and take 10 grand with me and say, I'm here to stay. And the agency in Paris said, well, you're overweight and you don't have great pictures, but if you can stay, we want to work with you. All that took discipline. Because I didn't buy the Gucci handbag. I don't go and get the expensive manicure every week. I am always saving for a rainy day. So if my company doesn't make money, I don't have to close the door. The rent and the mortgage will be paid. If Lou, the model, has a bad season, she can still not be in panic mode and have to do something that may cause her to not be her best on castings, getting a job at night bartending. I save. So it started as a child, but I have found it just works for me. And on that gym thing, let's just be real clear, everybody listening, I hate going to the gym probably more than any. I think that whole endorphin thing is a lie. That's between me and you. I haven't felt any endorphins. But I will tell you, as a 59-year-old, I can still rock a bikini if choosing to, if I want to. I can still, last night when we went to a Broadway show, I could walk up 3 flights of stairs in 4-inch heels and I wasn't winded. And I was looking at people next to me, stopping and taking a breath. So everything has a good or a bad. You just got to decide what's worth it to you, what's really worth it. And the only thing, I'm going to end this by saying, the only thing for sure is we getting a day older every day. You can play now or you can play later, but we all getting a day older.
How do you measure? How do you know you've made it? Or how do you measure your success? What are your metrics?
If I get up that morning and look in the mirror and I'm really happy with what looks back, I made it.
I know that's right.
That changes so
That's
often.
so simple.
That's what it changes. And the day I'm going to the gym and I got up on time and I got my outfit on and it's snowing outside and I got my music ready and me and Jesus on some wine, BC whining, and we out there. I made it that day. That day I made it. I don't care about
it really isn't about your net worth or where you've been or the impact you've made. Okay.
How do you balance it all? Like, you talk about working out, you talk about all these different things that you're doing, talking to your mom, having your quiet time. Miriam says she knows when not to call you. Like, you've created this structure for yourself. Did you always have that structure or over time? And because as you add things, I hear preachers say all the time, when you feel overwhelmed, it's because it's a lack of structure. There's something that's not structured in your life, or your time is not structured enough to where you feel this overwhelmness or you feel this stress. So how do you balance all of these things? And how do you create that schedule that affords you the opportunity to do all the stuff that you do?
You said something very important. It changes because there's always something added. I
Mhm.
don't mind sharing, and Miriam knows I have not been in a serious relationship for a long time. So I'm now learning how to balance that. And that's not an easy feat for me because I want to be present when I'm with him. I don't want to be sitting by him, but I'm on my phone. I will say you have to have the right partner. You really have
Mhm.
to have someone that's not trying to change you or not. And that is something I'm very serious about. I'm no
Mhm.
longer, I've dated people who weren't the right ones. And now I know what equally yoked mean. Two, I can't be bullied with my time. There are people who say, well, you don't even want to think about if you can make it. No, ma'am, I can't make it. Yeah,
Right.
it's 9 o'clock at night. I can't make it on that conference call. Well, I mean, you don't need, you can not go to the gym that the next day. You can skip a day. No, ma'am, because then that makes me less than perfect than what God needs me for. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't, but I know in order to do what I need to do at the level I need to do it, I have to be in my best physical health. But thank you. So I can't be bullied. And it comes across as harsh sometimes. But
Mhm.
I have found if you don't take care of yourself, you're not on your quickest game. And
Yes.
sometimes if I'm exhausted or hungry, those are when I make very bad decisions or say things that can really hurt me as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
It's when I'm on my top of my game that I have gotten the biggest rewards. So that changes at all times. And I don't mind telling you, I'm learning to balance that right now with somebody in my life.
I love that. I think we all, as you're talking, I'm like thinking of even my own personal life and balancing, relationships. Because I get married. I don't know who my husband's going to be, but I'm getting married. So,
Claim it.
okay. Even in that, because I want to do different things. I want to travel. But it's about being intentional with your time, intentional with making space for that person. Intentional, you said something about not changing and the person not trying to change you, but embracing who you are, embracing who they are, and, learning how to,
Now, may I say one thing on that note?
yes, please.
We are always changing, and you should
Hmm.
also find a partner who's saying, I'm willing to work on me. You
Yes.
need someone that says, I'm never going to change. If there's some, I have a saying, if there's something wrong between us, we have three options. If I've hurt you, I can stop doing it. Maybe I can't stop doing it. I just really can't, and I don't want to stop doing it.
Mm.
But you need to talk and you need to find someone who's emotionally there, emotionally mature enough to know the difference and then say, baby, I'm gonna work on it, or sweetie, I'm sorry. I know you don't like when I roll my eyes, but I swear I don't know I'm doing it. I swear
Hmm.
I don't know I'm doing it. So I won't be able to stop it. Now, on that note, I'm fortunate enough to be in one of the groups I'm with. I don't mind telling you, it's my Bible talk group in my church. And I have surrounded myself with some incredible couples that I get to see the dynamic. Because how do you know if you don't know? And
Right.
some on the job training can cost you a lot because
Yeah.
you just didn't know. But to see dynamics and see, well, when they fight, that's how they do it. Or when he's saying this, or I have a dear
When
friend.
she biting her tongue. Yep.
Yes. And every, I don't mind saying, I'm a very close friend. Miriam knows her name is Karen. Whenever she is getting on her husband's nerve, he will say, yes, dear. And then she know. And it may be killing her to say something or explain, but she has promised when he say that to no longer talk on that subject anymore. So just seeing dynamics like that, I'm like, I can use that. I'm gonna use,
Mhm.
let me suggest that. So again, that's where their mentorship comes in. Surround yourself with successful people
Mhm.
and whatever you're trying to be successful at.
I love that. That needs to be a hashtag put on t-shirts and my hat. I love that.
I do see, and one of the things I appreciate is that because Lou has, you have to be willing to embrace the fact that you've done it wrong to be willing to do it right. And one thing that Lou is, she's very patient. And so, but successful people are patient. They don't rush anything. They're not rushing into every opportunity is not an opportunity that you need to take. And everything that seems good doesn't mean it's good for you. And I've learned that from watching Lou. I've learned that from like seeing like somebody offered her on her own reality TV show. And it was good at some point, but then she was like, this is not, and I'm not sure what happened, but I also learned if she said no, then no is what it is, because you can't, I'm like, oh my goodness, but the money is right. And it was like, I don't know if it was a Bravo, but it was like an actual real network. It wasn't something.
It was a VH1 and they wanted me to drink again.
Okay, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
You did mention that. And just learning how when people have standards, successful, like unregulated leadership, unregulated meaning unrestricted, you're not going to be beholden to someone else's standard of what they expect you to do for you to be successful. And I appreciate that. Watching you and watching how you navigate through all the opportunities I think people just jump at. And you've given very deliberate, intentional thought, the way Lavonya has mentioned, with your time, with whether or not it's going to be pleasing to you in the long run.
Bigger picture.
Lou, I just want to say it has been a pleasure. I am so glad to have met you. Thank you for sharing all the different experiences that you've had. And, you've said so many things that I feel like, we can hashtag. We need to say, right? It's been so good. It's been good for me. Is there any final thoughts that you would like to share with our audience, or anything that you wanted to share? That go ahead.
One more thing, Lou. Future. What does the future look like for you? I mean, I always have these things I've always thinking that you should be doing, but what can we expect from you or see you in next?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Immediately, I am hosting several major pageants. I'm on the consulting board of a new big pageant system. I'm very excited to say I'm being called out of retirement for modeling. I'm still trying to decide on that one. I have some people really talking me into sitting down and writing a book and or finishing a play that I started several years ago about modeling. I am flirting with the idea of doing a cartoon character, and she's going to be a superhero. And before I would do it, I'm trying to do all the marketing behind it right away. I do have my program set up that I am now going to start training coaches. And I have a 3-tier program, a gold, a platinum, and a silver. So I'm going to start that in January internationally, so that we talk about that generational wealth and things of that nature. So I get to start thinking about retirement. So wish you well.
You're never going to retire.
No, don't you dare. Yes, I am. I'm going to be sitting on somebody's beach, preferably Costa Rica, in a shag hut, watching the man bring mango juice and take some out the ocean.
And if somebody walks by and asks you a question, I guarantee you're going to speak life into them, and like you always
ladies,
have an
one
impact.
thing before we leave, please also, everyone watching, please feel free to contact me. I not only work with pageants or model, but life coaching. You can find me at Aloop International, ALUP, which by the way stands for a Lou Production. Always put your name in your company and spell out international. Remember, my app is a one-time fee on all phones. You can find it. Modelversity is the name of it. And you two ladies, I want to congratulate you. This is so needed. And I couldn't think of two women who have been more just right on it. The questions, your response, I love. We're just having a conversation and it's just so long overdue. Please keep doing what you do when you do what you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amen. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We appreciate you. Miriam, did you have any final thoughts that you wanted to
No,
share?
actually, all of Lou's handles will be in our profile and on at the end of the credit reel. So if you didn't catch it, you'll have a chance to be able to look and see it at the end.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Lou. Thank you to our audience. Again, like and follow us on all of our social media platforms. And we will see you all next time. Thank you so much and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.